Socrates. He is famous for his skepticism. He would approach popular people in the writings that we get from Plato. Okay? He would approach popular people who were considered wise, ask them to justify their beliefs. And they would provide him with some various attempts at justification, but Socrates would not accept their words without further probing for reasonable justification. And that's where this defining terms, it's the whole, oftentimes what you see is it ends up being a battle over words. And not semantics, not talking about playing word games, but just being a battle over how to really define something. Because, for one example, when you're talking about justice, I mean, it's one thing to make an argument about arguing over, petty things or defining, what makes a table, or some physical object. When you're talking about a major concept like justice, you're going to have a hard time nailing down exactly, in everybody's mind, exactly what justice really should look like. And I think that even in this room, if we took a poll on, for example, the death penalty, right here, there's only a handful of students, and right here, I guarantee we have a disagreement over should the death penalty be allowed at all. Some say no. Some say, yeah, right there, both sides of the dinner. So justice, is that just? She says, that's not just. You say, oh yeah, that's just. Okay. So see, right here in this room, we already have that great divide. All right. We could nail that down to a much smaller level and start talking about various laws and rules and regulations, and people just, by and large, are not going to agree on every little detail. I mean, you might agree on some of the big picture, but when you can really hone it down on the individual petty little stuff, you're going to find that you disagree at some point. And that's really one of the things that Socrates brings out, his character brings out in the writings, is that we just don't always. And so our idea of things, we might think that we have a firm grasp on it, but we find out that our own definition is inadequate. Okay? All right. Yeah, still got some on this one. Okay. That was not in there either, is it? Kind of talked about this already, but this is how I laid it out on the slides. Just that whole idea of how he trips people up, tries to get them to justify themselves and then turns the tables on them and shows them, you don't know what you're talking about, guy. You think you do, but you don't really know what you're talking about. You thought you had it, but when you really get down to it, you don't.
Do you see the potential for that today, or has the world become more specialized as to, you can't have somebody just go up and ask somebody about law or business or ethics or more, you know what I'm saying? Has it kind of diverged from that path in any way, shape, or form?
Has what diverged from that path you're talking about?
The skepticism. Like Socrates, his realm was very limited in the things that happen. Say law. His laws and our laws are different. Now we have, 2,000 pages on the healthcare bill.
Yeah.
Do you see a divergence from?
Would he think differently now than he did then, or is that what you're saying?
Would it be a potential for someone to just go up nowadays and have the same philosophy about being skeptical towards, it just says popular people?
Yeah.
Views.
Well, politicians, then
you got businessmen.
Yeah.
You don't really have the opportunity nowadays to have that much knowledge or that firm of a view on every issue.
Well, he gets specific though, so he picks up on specific issues. He does talk in general about leaders, but he gets them to hone in on some more specific things. So I don't think he would have had a problem with taking someone to task. if Plato were writing today and using Socrates to go up to a politician that was advocating some view, I mean, he would have them tripping over their feet, on something and contradict themselves at some point. And that's just the way he would have done it. And he would pick up on the whatever, whether it's the healthcare bill or abortion. I mean, we could go into all kinds of specifics and say, what's the justification for thinking this way about something? And by the time in his writings, by the time he'd be done with them, they'd be a pretzel as to what they really believed about that concept. So I don't think that he would have had any trouble doing the same thing now that he did then. It's just that we've had all that history and all of these different events to take place. But governmental structures, democracy, the Greeks, they had that concept. So they had democratic seeds. So he's been exposed to things then that we've been exposed to things now that he wasn't exposed to things that he wasn't exposed to back then. But I don't think he would have had any trouble doing the same thing. It'd be another way of just showing them, I really don't know. Breaking things down to a point to where they go, I haven't thought about that. So that was really what he was known for. And I'm sure Plato would have been able to use Socrates in a modern writing to do something very similar to a politician somewhere out there. So.
Yeah, but I think the only difference then is